so now we're gonna go ahead and remove all the things that are just kind of sitting in the trunk right now, so we can lift these seats up and actually start removing all the pieces that attach to the headliner. That way we can actually pull it out from this door. As you guys can see, we have quite a bit of stuff here, so we're gonna try to get those out. I'm gonna try to set up the camera so you guys can watch us take those out. Look at this guy. So now we got my brother and we got the supervisor, Ivan. He came by to supervise us work on the car. All right, so I lied. We're not taking everything out. We're just closing the seats with some of the stuff in the back. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to take the pieces out here. I'm gonna try to set the camera up as best as I can so you guys can watch us doing some of that. All right, so we're taking off these trim pieces of the headliner. We just went ahead, I removed the sun visor right here along with the little light that goes here and the little clip attachment here. We're gonna also remove this handle, this little coat hanger piece, as well as this back trim. It's kind of hard to record while we're in here, so I'm gonna try to record as much as I can. But for now, I'm just trying to let you guys know what we're gonna be removing. All right, so in order to remove these, my brother's using the back of a screw. As you guys can see, he just kind of pops it backward and these clips come out, and then you have access to the Torx screws that are holding them. All right, so we were able to remove both sides, the sun visors, handles on the side, as well as the rear light here. And we also got the trim piece on the side where the seat belts go. And the only thing left, I believe now, is gonna be to remove this trim right here along the sunroof, as well as this control little panel slash light that goes here in the front. All right, so what you guys are seeing now is a clip that is about a week past when we actually did the headliner removal. Now, what we're gonna be doing today, we thought about it just over this week, thinking about it because we weren't working on the car yet, and now it is the weekend, so we're back to working on the vehicle. Now, in order to get this passenger airbag out, we're gonna have to drill the rivets that attach the passenger side roof airbag. Now, the issue with this is when we're drilling, there's actually gonna be barely any space if this headliner is gonna sit right where it's at now. So as you guys saw, we tried getting it out through here. It did not work. So what we decided is we're actually going to be removing this passenger side door and then getting the headliner out at an angle, because the only issue we had was right here, right around this area, the headliner would actually hit into the door and we're not able to remove it. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the door, remove the headliner, and continue on with removing this passenger side airbag and replacing it. Now, right before we do that, I'm actually gonna go ahead and clean out all this little garbage right here. Once I finish cleaning that out, we're gonna go ahead and start removing the door and get ready to take this headliner out. Let's do it. All right, so as you guys can see, we pulled the car out just a little bit, just put it in neutral and kind of rolled it down. We got the door open here. Now we have a little bit more access and room to remove this door, as well as the lighting, so that way we can see what we're gonna be doing. So I'm gonna show you guys, I'm gonna flip the camera and show you guys exactly what we're gonna do, and then I'll let you guys see us doing that. So if you guys see from this angle, as you guys can see, we have to remove the two pin bolts that are holding the door, which is this one right here from the bottom, and that guy right there from the top. This arm right here has a bolt that is right there. We're gonna go ahead and remove that as well, and then the door should be able to slide out. There's gonna be one connector inside this little hose piece. So I'm gonna set the camera up and have you guys watch us while we remove it. This right here is gonna be an E-socket, so make sure that you have the right tools. This is not a Torx, it is an E-socket. All right, so as you guys can see, we managed to get the door out. Now what we initially did was we actually removed this bolt right here first. This is basically the limiter for how far the door can swing open. And as you guys can see, the other two are basically the bolt kind of pins that hold the door in place. Now we took this one out from the top first, and then we went ahead and took this one out. And while one of us was holding it, the other had to pop this connector out. And as you guys saw in the video, you basically use a flathead to kind of go under the locking tab right here and just kind of push it up. The connector should be able to slide out. And we managed to get the door out and put it right over there. So it's just gonna be sitting there. So now we're actually gonna set up the camera. We're gonna try to angle the headliner in order to get it out and kind of tilt it and slide it out without actually creasing it. All right, so we managed to get the headliner out. So basically what we're gonna do with this now is we're basically gonna take this upstairs and basically lay it on its head like this. And on the edges, you guys can see wherever there is creases on this side, we're basically gonna hold it like down so that the creases are not showing, and we're gonna put books or something to hold it so it holds its form. Once it stays like that for a few days, we're gonna go ahead and put epoxy on all the areas where there's creases like this. That way it holds its rigidity. And once that's done, this will be ready to reinstall. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and work on the interior and get the airbag removed. We have to drill out the rivets and then put new rivets in with the new passenger side head airbag, as well as I need to get the seat belt so that I can replace the driver's side seat belt, which the tensioning on the upper part of the seat belt blew in this car accident, so we need to replace that, as well as the driver's side seat belt tensioner also needs to be replaced. We already have that one, but we still needed to get the upper one, and once we have that, we'll be able to clean the interior and basically get the whole car reassembled on the interior. All right, so we're gonna try to remove the passenger side airbag now. As you guys can see, there's rivets right here at the end. There's also two rivets right there. There's a rivet right down here. There's one above this metal plate, which I'm actually gonna remove by using a Torx right here, here, and here, and then this plate will just drop down. That way we can get this one out. We also did a test one right here. We basically used a drill bit, which I will show you as soon as we start drilling out the other ones, and we actually were able to remove it. As you guys can see, there's a little piece of it still left over, which you can actually just crush with some pliers and remove, but we're still deciding on how we're gonna get that out. As you guys can see, there's also a rivet right there, one more right here, and then the last one is at the very bottom there. So we have to drill all those out and then re-put new rivets once we get the new airbag up here and install it. So while we're doing this process, I'm actually going to explain to you guys exactly what drill bit sizes we're going to use in order to get these rivets out, and I'm going to set you guys up right here on the driver's side seat so that way you can watch us removing this airbag. So I'm going to go ahead and take out this plate and we'll just continue and see where we go from there. All right, so what we're gonna be using is, as you guys can see, this is a 8mm drill bit right here. We're gonna basically use this to drill out the rivets right here up until the point where we can just pop them out like this one. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. Just like that, drilled out easily. And as you guys can see, just like that one, this one should just pop out just like that, you guys will see these rivets are out. We're gonna focus on getting all these out right now, so I'm just gonna kind of record it. I'm not gonna be talking during that part, but you guys are basically seeing how we're gonna be doing that. So as you guys can see, we were able to remove it. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove these rivets right here that are left over. There's about 4 or 5 left actually, with the one down here, and then we'll be able to take that airbag out. We got all the rivets removed, as you guys can see. Basically the connector right here to remove it, we're gonna go ahead and use a flathead. I'm gonna show you guys right now. So you're basically gonna go ahead and put your flathead right underneath this little tab.
It's, oh dude, that's fused.
All right, so as you guys can see, we got the airbag removed. The reason this connector was so difficult to remove was because, as you guys can see right here, the connector actually fused to the airbag connection point itself, and that's why it was really tough to remove this guy. But as you guys can see, we managed to get all the rivets out here just like that, and now it's looking nice and clean. And we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with these rivets that are currently on here, and then I'll let you guys know how we're gonna be installing the new airbag. All right, so in order to not have to remove the rivet body piece, we only remove the rivet head. We're gonna basically put the new airbag through the rivet body, and we're gonna use smaller rivets to attach the airbag into the spot of the older, bigger rivet bodies. So we're gonna basically put the airbag up now, and I'm gonna show you guys once we start actually putting in the new rivets. So as you guys can see, we actually managed to get the airbag on. We got it put on all the spots where the rivets are. As you guys can see, the leftovers right there. Now we're gonna actually attempt to basically put a smaller rivet in that same hole, and we're hoping that it's gonna hold. If it doesn't, we're just gonna have to take it off, basically take out all those little pieces and just put the bigger size rivets. We're gonna go ahead and see what happens here once we start doing that. All right, so as you guys can see, the rivet we're gonna be using is this guy right here. You guys can see it's an aluminum rivet, and what we're gonna do to add a little bit more surface area for the rivet to hold, we're gonna be putting on this washer right there in the front. That way it can actually hold more of the surface area and it's stronger. So as you guys can see, my brother went ahead and put the first rivet in right there. We got it all flattened down. He's gonna use this rivet gun here to rivet it in there. As we'll see, basically pump. And as you guys can see, you guys just heard a pop and the rivet is in there. Airbag's not going anywhere. And we're gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of the rivets. So as you guys can see, I just cleaned up a little bit from the rivet residue here. As you guys can see, I know it's still dirty. We're actually going to clean this out more. This is just so that whenever we're working in the car, it's not too dirty on this side. But as you guys can see, I already showed you guys, but we got all the rivets installed. The airbag is put in place. It's plugged in over there. We got the bracket put back on. This bracket's put back on through the rivet, just how it's supposed to be OEM. And we basically got the airbag on. So now we're actually gonna put the door back on because we're not gonna leave the car outside with no door. So we're gonna go ahead and put this door back on. All right, guys, it is the next day, and as you guys can see, I got the car sitting right here next to me. And what we're gonna do right now is actually we're gonna try to remove the driver's side seat. Now, the reason we're moving that is because I think there's something wrong with the motor that moves the seat, as well as we need to switch the seatbelt pre-tensioner that sits on the side of your seatbelt. So the actual seatbelt buckle, we need to switch that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how we're gonna be removing the seat. Now, because we have an issue with the motor being able to move the seat, I'm hoping that I can remove the front 2 bolts, and then we're gonna move the seat up and try to move it forward, because the issue is it doesn't wanna go forward. It wants to go back, but it doesn't wanna go forward. So I'm gonna try to remove it as much as I can forward if it moves, and we're gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my tools ready, and we're gonna go ahead and get the car, put some power on it from the front right there, and then we're gonna go ahead and see if we can move the seat. So the reason I was a little skeptical about putting power to the vehicle once again is because we have so many things unplugged here. As you guys can see, everything on the headliner is unplugged, and that could cause some issues. I know we could always delete the codes, but just to be sure, I don't really like plugging in the car when there's stuff unplugged. But let's go ahead and plug in the negative terminal and see what we can do. Whoever moved this battery prior to us wired this completely weird. Like, all these wires are just sitting on the side. I might have to probably put some electrical tape or something to insulate them, because they are just sitting bare wire like that, and I don't like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set you guys up. We're going to put the negative on, and we're going to see what we can do from there. Just like that, got it plugged in. Let's go see what we can do with the seat. As you guys can see, what I'm gonna do is I'm using a ratchet wrench right here along with a T50 Torx. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in. We're gonna loosen up these bolts, and then we're gonna try to move the seat forward. So first I'm gonna see if I can move the back of it. So the back moves up like that. As you guys can see, it is moving very slowly. And now we're gonna lift it up and see how high we could actually get it to go. Okay, it goes pretty high. I'm hoping we're gonna be able to see where the screw goes. So it looks like we still cannot see it. Let me see if I can move the seat forward. You guys will see what happens when I try to move the seat forward. So as you guys can see, when I try to move it, it does not want to move. All right, guys, so I think I know what the issue is as to why the seat won't move forward, and it seems like it's because there's so much garbage under that seat that's like sticky and weird that the actual motor cannot have enough force to spin through all that gunk. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to clean out as much as I can so that I can actually be able to move the seat forward and back. We're gonna see whether that's actually gonna help us, and I'll let you guys know once I get that all done. All right, so what we ended up doing is I ended up cleaning up a lot of the ground with just a vacuum, and then I went ahead, suggested by my brother, I actually sprayed some WD-40 inside both of the rails, and I was able to get these first 2 bolts out to go in the front. Now, the seat, whenever I do move it forward, it actually moves. So hopefully it'll move enough for us to see the bolts that are gonna appear right there. There we go, guys. The bolts are right there. You guys can see that one right over there. This one right here, the WD-40 and lifting up the seat by taking off the front 2 bolts in the front made a big difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up so you guys can watch me remove the seat. All right, so as you guys can see, my brother helped me push the car out. I got the seat all bolted here. Now we're gonna go ahead and try to remove the seat through the door right here. You could do it by yourself, but it is a pretty heavy seat, so just be careful. I'm gonna go ahead and set you guys up over here so that you guys can watch us do that. All right, as you guys can see, we got the seat out, moved it out over there. A lot of dirty stuff under here. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, and we also have to replace the seatbelt tensioner on this seat. We're still thinking about what we're gonna do over there about that, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up really quick, make sure it looks nice and neat. I'll show you guys once we're done with that. Got this little brush off Amazon, $7. This is for dog hairs or any hairs that you have in your vehicle from women or dogs, whatever you have. We're gonna go ahead and test this out. As you guys can see, picking it all up real nicely. This is not a sponsored ad. This is a $7 product off Amazon. I recommend you guys get. All right, so as you guys can see, the seat is out right here, and what you guys are looking at is basically the seat belt right here. As you guys can see, it's all tensioned up. This is due to the fact that when you get in a car accident and you do have the seatbelt on when you're driving in the driver's side, and any of the airbags blow, this driver's side seatbelt will also blow. So basically there's a fuse in here, which when your vehicle basically sends a signal that your car just got into a car accident, the airbags blow, this basically tensions up, and that way it holds your seatbelt tight so that you don't fly out of the car. If you guys see the new one right here, you guys will see that is what a new one, that's what it should look like, nice and not tensioned up. Now the seatbelt itself is held by this one bolt right there. So you're gonna go ahead and disconnect this seat connector right here. So right here you see there's two little tabs. You're gonna go ahead and pull those down and push back like that, and the seat connector should slide right out. Now you're also gonna need to cut the little zip tie that's back here off. So I'm gonna go ahead and go get us cutters and then go ahead and show you guys what to do from there. You're gonna take this bottom zip tie out, that way it releases the main one of the connectors off of the seat housing here. This connector right here, we're gonna release that one, and basically this one will just come out on the clip, and we can pull this guy out once we get that one bolt. All right, so for this part that I was explaining, the little clip here, you might need to get a flathead to just basically loosen it out. You can go ahead and pry it out right here. That's okay, it'll remove like that. Now the only thing left to do is take this bolt out right here. We're gonna go ahead and do that, and this should all just come out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and use the T50 Torx, the same one that we removed the seat bolts with. We're gonna remove this guy with. So we're gonna go ahead and just pop that, make sure it's straight, loosen that up. Go ahead, loosen. Should be able to just unbolt like that, and then this guy just comes out just like that. And go ahead and set this one down. As you guys can see, this one already has this clip, so you don't have to replace that or anything. That one just stays there. Got the new bolt. I'm gonna pop that in there, but first I'm gonna go ahead and clean the surface right here that's super dirty, and I'm gonna get back to you once I get that all cleaned out. So we got the new one right here. We're gonna go ahead, pop it in right there. There's a little slot it sits in. Make sure you align the bolt where it needs to go. Go ahead and tighten that up. Now we're gonna go ahead and route it the same way that the other one was routed. So we're gonna go ahead and stick this wire all the way down here, and this guy will be placed right where the other one used to be. So I'm gonna grab the zip ties in a second to go ahead and plug that back in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this connector first, and as you guys can see, there's a little slot right there. There's a slot right there, and there's a little area that's protruding right here. You're gonna go ahead and align that with where they need to go, which is this little lip right here, and then the slot down there. Go ahead and pop that in there, push it, should go all the way to the end, but you can go ahead and take this one as well. There's little arrows on the top of both of the connectors that you can go ahead and follow. So we're gonna have the same slot here and the same protruding little piece of plastic right there. We're gonna go ahead, align those again, slide that in. That's it, locks right into place. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get 2 zip ties. That way we can zip tie where they were previously zip tied, which is going to be, one goes right here, and the other will be this line will get zip tied to the 2 coming from the seatbelt tensioner right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and go get 2 zip ties, and we're gonna go ahead and put that on there and finish it up. All right, so I got the first zip tie. I'm gonna go ahead and toss that one through there. Get it all the way back up here. Go ahead and put it through there. Get it all the way in, just like that. Basically align the cables so that once you start tightening them, they will hold right next to each other. Just like that. It does not have to be perfect. Usually these are just put so that the wires don't have any chance of getting caught. If this connector falls, maybe it'll get caught under the rails, but hopefully, as long as you have a zip tie here, should be good. Tighten as much as you can. Go ahead, take some flush cutters. Cut it just like that. All right, so this second zip tie is gonna go through this hole that you guys see right there. So we're gonna go ahead and feed it through. We're gonna zip tie the connectors just like that. There we go. That'll keep them from going anywhere. They're gonna stay tucked. We're gonna go pretty snug. It doesn't have to be super tight, but now we're gonna go ahead and cut off the excess piece of the zip tie. Go ahead and take your connector, push it back, push, it'll lock into place. That's how you replace the seatbelt pre-tensioner right here.